Hello, welcome to yet another video game vlog, and I am retarded. I realized after recording my last session and starting the new session that my headphones have a whatchamacallit. I can basically turn off the sound to my mic so you can't hear me go when I'm not talking. So I recorded a whole I recorded a whole scene basically before realizing that it was on, and I had to go all the way back. So I don't know if this is where we left off. I'm just gonna go back a couple of things. Yeah, I think we were up to here at least. Oh, Jesus. This is what happens when I don't record for like 6 months. I get so... Anyways, welcome back to Seduce Me. And we learn something new every day. I hope that I can continue learning how to do this better, because that's what I want. Anyways, I turned my head to look out the window. There was no point in waiting for something that was never going to come. And like that, he started to drive and the conversation between us ended. I decided to focus my attention on the passing scenery. We were taking the usual route to grandfather's house. It was located within the vicinity of the school district, but it was still pretty far from the school and where our house was. He had always lived alone and insisted on doing things by himself, even at his age, living in such a large house. I wonder, did he pass away with no one at his side as well? It sounded so lonely and sad. It was strange that he decided on living all alone in that large estate. If anything, he could have lived with us. Though he and my father probably would have given each other the silent treatment of the entire time. Maybe living alone was preferable to that. I actually hadn't visited him in quite a while. Visits to the house were most frequent when I was a child, and I'd grown up long since then. Last time I visited, though, I thought he looked just as he usually was, happy and healthy. But things change. In the back of my mind, I knew that he would have to leave one day. It wasn't like humans could live forever. So why did my heart feel so heavy? The car ride was mostly spent in silence until he spoke up again.
How was school? Maintaining your grades, I hope.
Yeah, I've been trying my best so far.
Trying? That's not really doing the best you can, is it?
With my father, only some words I said were filtered through his ears. It was difficult to keep up the conversation without eventually talking about academics or my future, even if it was something loosely based on it. He always found a way to integrate it to whenever we talked.
Anyway, your belongings are in the trunk. There isn't a lot, so I'm sure you can manage bringing them inside the house. After all, you're on the road to being independent.
Yes, I can manage on my own. The usual silence resumed between us. I wasn't really sure what to say around him, especially when most of the time we didn't share the same opinions. One question did linger in my mind, though. If he was going to justify acting so nonchalantly at my grandfather's funeral, I had the right to at least know why. Say, Dad, about you and Grandpa.
We are not talking about this.
I feel like we should be, because Grandpa did leave us yesterday, so...
I wouldn't care if he had left even long before that. I don't want to hear it, and that is the end of this conversation.
As always, he managed to shut down any other form of conversation related to him. It was just like what happened last night. I opened my mouth slightly and then closed it again. It was like talking to a brick wall. It wasn't like I could find anything by somehow arguing my way through it. Alright then. I leaned against the car door and stared out the window. I couldn't really think. What would this place be like? It had been my grandfather's house before, but it was one thing visiting and actually another thing living there. How could I manage living on my own without any training to really care for a house? I knew that naturally the bills would be paid by my parents who had inherited my grandfather's stocks to the corporation, but I never lived independently before. Thinking about it made me feel like some sort of bird being pushed out of a nest. Though technically I was an adult, I felt unprepared and a bit daunted by the prospect of actually moving into my new place. Most people at my age would be ecstatic about moving out. After all, it symbolized some sort of change in their lives, like being on the road to independence. But it felt like nothing of the sort. I really hoped that I wouldn't let my parents down. I wouldn't want to let my grandfather down. What would he be saying right now? I gazed up in the clouds that passed the sky. If you're out there, Grandfather, what will you be doing? Would there be anything you'd want me to tell me at this moment? Of course, no answer. What was I doing, searching for answers in a heaven that would or would not exist? I ducked my head and to stare at the blur of the trees of the car window. My head was definitely going through the clouds there at that moment. Either way, I found myself being driven off to my new home. The car rolled up to a stop and I drifted out of my thoughts.
Here we are. Go on in.
Alright. Tell Mom I love her.
All right.
I love you, Dad. No, make sure to come by and visit us often. No, I'm gonna miss you lots. Nothing other than a blank stare. I paused a bit before reaching for the door handle, waiting for any form of goodbye, but he didn't speak again. I sighed and exited the car, hearing my dad pop the trunk. I saw there were 2 large bags that I packed last night, and they were large enough to carry only the things I needed. I took them out, placed one bag on each shoulder, and closed the trunk. Then he drove off, leaving me in front of the mansion. I watched the blue car fade into the distance of the road before turning to see my new home. There it is. It's huge. My grandfather gave me this? It's hard to believe. The house was framed by a tall set of gates. I hesitantly pushed them aside to enter the estate. The house looked like it was the last time I visited. At a glance, it seemed kind of intimidating with the size. Even though I came a bit closer, it was clear that there was more than that. The brick walls were framed by shrubbery and lovely flowers, giving it a homey, welcoming look. But to the contrast of the doors into the house gave me a feel of grandeur. I can't freaking talk! Who knew? Who knew what was waiting for me? I wouldn't back down at this moment. I took the key out from the front doors and unlocked them. Might as well make myself at home. I'll be staying here for quite a while anyways. And then I saw them. This usually would be end scene, but I'm going to continue because I kind of did half of the card. I don't know. A group of men were lying on the floor. They were all unconscious. but there was no explanation why they were there in the first place. I dropped my bags and let the door close on its own behind me. Huh? Who the heck are these guys? Why are they here? What's going on? Some of them had open wounds, the blood staining the floor, and the scent was intermingling with the air. I couldn't help but feel bad for them instinctively, but nevertheless I was a bit shocked and angry at the sudden intrusion. My mind suddenly went from caring and concerned to confused and demanding answers. Who are you guys? No response. I'll call the police. Still nothing. One of them seemed to be awake. None of them seemed to be awake to answer or respond to me, but it seemed surreal to have a random stranger in the house I just moved into. I wanted answers, and quickly. That was until... Get away from me!
Woman, you're going to let me kiss you.
I can't take it! I couldn't believe myself, but with the mere blink of an eye, one of the men went from laying on the floor to being right in front of my face. What was even more odd was the fact that I felt serene and calm about it. Slowly, a desire burned from my chest, telling me to accept his kiss, even when my mind vehemently refused. Go ahead.
Good.
As he kissed me, I could feel my body go weak. I didn't know why, but the kiss was draining me of my energy, and yet it was so good that it made my heart sing.
Sam, stop it.
The person kissing me, Sam was his name? He glanced behind him.
I said stop. No.
Fine.
Finally, he pulled back. I was left standing there in a daze. What? I couldn't tell what was going on. My mind was completely enwrapped by the kiss. My thoughts melted into the depths of... depths of my forgotten memories.
Please forgive my brother. He's a bit reckless.
At least I feel a hell of a lot better than you right now.
Because you used your abilities on her.
Sam, you're such a reckless brute. Taking advantage of a beautiful young woman like her.
Shut that pretty boy mouth of yours before I rip it off your pretty boy face.
Your face is so red.
Sheesh, you guys. Can we not fight right now? Not all of us are in the best state.
I guess you are right, Matthew.
I agree.
And there he is. Not a word. However, as the men got up and started to chat freely, my thoughts began to reassemble, and I remembered my confusion and anger once again, only now multiplied tenfold. Oh, what?
Huh? Did you say something beautiful?
And I exploded. In the angry way. Sorry, perverted joke. What is going on? Why the hell are you all here in my house? Why are you all wounded? Why did you kiss me? Who are you guys? I couldn't help exploding, but after being taken advantage of and being left in a mush state, my words escaped without a filter. I definitely scared the men around me, even the man who kissed me. Wait a second. The guy who kissed me?
Ouch! What's your problem?
What is your problem? You can't just go around forcing people to kiss you like that. What are you, some kind of pervert?
Pervert? It was only a kiss!
It might have meant nothing to you, but it means a lot to me.
What? Was it your first kiss? Ow! Hey! What was that for?
You know, first kisses aren't exactly amazing and full of sparkles and something out of a fairy tale, but I at least expected it to be something more than something forced.
So it was your first kiss. Stop making such a big deal out of it.
Are you asking to get punched again?
Well, what do you want me to do? It's not like I can somehow take it back.
I really want to hit him again, because it seems funny, but I would hit him again, personally. Should at least apologize, that would suffice. As to himself, he muttered something under his breath.
Why do I always look like the bad guy? Apologies aren't my forte, but I'll try my best. Okay, fine. I'm sorry.
Sorry about what?
I'm sorry for kissing you like that. I went too far.
He sighed and ran his fingers through his hair.
I didn't mean for it to turn out that way. It's just, I act on impulse, okay? It's difficult to control myself and... What am I saying?
It's okay. I get what you're trying to say. Thank you for the apology.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, if you try to pull any funny business in the future, it's just a fair warning. I know... Yeah, am I British now? I know Taekwondo. I know Taekwondo? I think I've bickered enough. Time to get to the main issue. So what exactly are you all doing in my house?
Miss, please forgive us in our intrusion. We didn't know this abode belonged to anyone, nor did we have the time to take that into consideration.
What do you mean? You don't just barge into people's homes.
We wouldn't have had to if we weren't as wounded as we are currently. We just escaped from a deadly fight that could have ended our lives. Luckily for us, your home was near and the windows were unlocked, so we quickly came inside.
Where I begun. The last time I remembered, there was laws preventing strangers from stepping on private property. Although considering the severity of their wounds, it had to be serious. I guess that explains the wounds, but not why you kissed me. You had absolutely no right to do that.
Well, lovely flustered lady, it's hard to explain, truly. We're not exactly normal.
Not normal. What are you guys, demons or something? I'm gonna end it here because my dog's barking and I don't know what the problem is. See you guys in the next episode.